All aboard your tech and games caboose. We have some OnePlus 7 renders, as well as some game news. Apex hit some milestones, and Outer Worlds might get a survival mode, as in will get it. But let's jump into the OnePlus 7. So we get some 360 renders, and here is the OnePlus 7. This is from pricebaba.com. And basically we get to see the front screen, we get to see a pop-up selfie camera. This is looking like a 6.5-inch screen, and there's actually curved edges to the screen, so that's pretty interesting. And then here's a pop-up selfie camera to get the most screen to body ratio you can get on a phone, as well as triple rear cameras, probably your main camera and then the 2x telephoto, and then what everyone's doing now, adding in the third camera for the ultra wide angle lens so you can get more in the frame, so pretty good there. As well as we get some side buttons. Here is the alert slider, as well as another like the power button, and then the volume's on the other side. And what else do we get to see? We get to see USB-C and some audio jack on the bottom, or not an audio jack, speakerphone. So basically there's no headphone jack, sadly. And also there's a little bit of a elongated ear piece, so it could have stereo speakers from both sides, so that could be pretty good. And then we have a little bit from Phone Arena, some other details. Here's 95% screen to body ratio, it's looking like, potentially, as well as obvious specs. Probably release multiple versions like a lot of phones do. 6 gigs, probably up to 12 gigs with different storage options, and some rumors of a 41 to 50 milliamp hour battery, so you'll get quite a bit of usage out of their Oxygen OS system, so that could be pretty good. And then pricing, their OnePlus 6T started at $549, so we could see a different price increase with the new Snapdragon 855s and other premium specs, so 600 and up it could look like for the OnePlus 7, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. So pretty cool from OnePlus. And we have some other smartphone news. The Galaxy S10 earns DisplayMates highest ever A+ grade. So that probably applies to the S10 Plus, but not the S10e, because it doesn't have the curved edges and it has a couple other changes. I have a video explaining all of the phones up in the card above. So basically, this S10 screen gets the most color accurate display that we have ever tested. This is from DisplayMate, and they achieved an excellent A+ grade. So some big differences are, again, the color accuracy. So if you're using your phone a lot to watch movies, then this could be one of the best phones for you, as well as peak brightness of 1215 nits. So if you're outside and sun's blaring on and it's hard to see your phone, the S10 is going to have one of the brightest phones, and it's actually 6.9% brighter than the previous version. It looked like, I believe, the S9. So that is good, and they do this at a energy power efficiency rating lower than the previous model, so 1.54 versus 1.7, so the screen will last longer and be brighter in general. So that's pretty good. Here's the DisplayMate actual site. They do a lot of scientific testing. They do a lot of graphs and charts, and this is like 30 pages long. They go into depth with color accuracy, brightness, a bunch of the other crazy tests. So if you're into phones, you want to check that out. And so comparison, the 1215 peak brightness is this is the S10, and then 100% full screen white is around 104 CDM, so similar to nits. And then just for comparison, the iPhone XS Max has a 100% brightness of 660 or so, and then it has a peak brightness of 766. So the S10 has a very high peak brightness, 1200, versus the 880, 804 to the 660. So it's pretty bright compared to the iPhone's screen. And then let's jump over to some game news. We have Apex Legends has just hit 50 million players worldwide. So here's a little short video showing off all the cool stuff from Twitch and all the mile markers and stuff. What a wild ride so far. Some bleeping already. 158 million finishers, it looked like. 1.23 billion ultimates activated. So some other crazy numbers for skills and stuff. 170 million respawns. Something you can't do in Fortnite unless they're coming with respawns soon, like they may have or may not have taken the alert system. So 16.5 million death box graveyards and some other cool numbers. Check out this if you want to know more. One question mark, Mozambique killed, so interesting. Well, they don't have an actual number on that. And then from Gear Nuke, we actually get a couple tweets rounded up, and it shows a comparison between Apex and Fortnite's player-wise. So they did this in 4 weeks, 50 million Apex did, and this took Fortnite 16 weeks to hit 45 million. So pretty interesting. So Fortnite kind of came off of PUBG, and then Fortnite is obviously rose the battle royale bar, and now Apex is kind of coming off the success of Fortnite, and so they're getting their numbers boosted pretty good, and they're trying to compete with, I think Fortnite is at 200 million now. We have a little graph here from Round Hill Investments, so we get to see the actual long term. So Fortnite's at 200 mil at 425 days or so. So pretty crazy for battle royales. If you're in that space, it's getting pretty popular. And that leads us into the Outer Worlds. So this is a single player, spacey, adventure-y single player game, and it gets pretty intense. It's got everyone hyped up. And we get a couple of details. PC Gamer notes some survival mode and some other details. This is from the In-Gamer Info show. They did a whole like hour, 2 hour info with the developers and everything, so there is a lot of details you can check out from that video. But basically we get to see the supernova mode, which is kind of like a survival where you will have a exhaustion, hunger, and thirst meter. So you will have to keep those in check if you don't want to die, and it looks like, I believe that was mentioned, some penalties might happen, as well as there isn't a crafting system was mentioned. So you don't have to go search for crafting materials, but you will have to kind of find some things that you can augment your gear with parts that are scattered around the worlds. So some cool, interesting stuff you can do there with different abilities and systems and stuff. So we also get a couple of mentions about the different companions you can play with and get different skills and equipments, as well as there was mention of a gravity system that actually didn't make it into the game. There's not going to. Potentially could still be added, cross fingers. Gravity system could be pretty interested, but a couple of things didn't make it. And then you can read a little bit more into this or check out the whole video on Game Informer. So they've been doing a lot of interviews and reveals for the Outer Worlds. So pretty interesting game. People are pretty hyped, and that is your tech and games. We have Twist6 saying, I can't take TechCaboose's thumbnail seriously. Well, I'm sorry, but they're pretty good, I have to say. And then Mark says, help, it's so cold. I'm not sure what that has to do with tech news or games, but with that, we will have another episode tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific with some more tech and game news, and we will be signing out. Pew, 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 pew.